Hello and welcome to episode 130 of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
And I'm Bill, and I want to spend some time tonight on my new venture, which is Elevate Academy, which is designed to work with young people to help them figure out what they want to do, and then hopefully help them find some opportunities to do that. So we have an Elevate Academy that's going to open, that's going to take place in Philadelphia, September 26th and 27th. And I was going to talk a little bit tonight about the agenda, and then I have a few questions that people ask me, and I'm going to answer those questions.
Sounds good.
So Dave's going to start off with an overview, and then I'm going to have a panel on ticketing, and I'm going to bring Ticketmaster in to talk about analytics and resale and secondary ticket marketing, just to let people know what goes on, how that part of the business works. That's going to be followed up by an event management and marketing session with Don Graham from the Oakview Group. And the Oakview Group is the group building a new arena in Seattle and a new arena in Austin, Texas for the University of Texas. And they're also, Tim Lywicki is the head of that group, and they're also the ones that build LA Live. So I think that will be a really interesting opportunity for people to learn. Then at lunch, we're going to have a panel, and on the panel is going to be Tim Lywicki, who I just mentioned, Al Guido, the president of the 49ers, and Scott O'Neill, the president of the 76ers and Devils, or HSB Sports.
Wow.
And we're going to talk about what they think the world's going to look like in 2025, which I think will be pretty fascinating because they're all involved in a lot of different things. After lunch, we're going to look at the non-Big Five leagues. So we're going to look at the XFL, the G League, minor league baseball, and the WNBA, to let people know those are also opportunities for jobs and things that they might not have thought of before. Then we're going to have a session on premium sales, seat licenses, creative spaces, and how to do all that. And we're going to end that up with a session on sponsorships, the first of two sessions on sponsorships. Then that night, we're going to have a potential networking opportunity at the Philadelphia Phillies game where people get to meet the speakers and meet each other and ask questions and do different things. And that's the end of day one.
It's a busy day.
Day two, we're going to open up with finding out what's next for me. And Buffy Philippel from Teamwork Online and Drew Cloud from one of the placement agencies and I will do this session for people about trying to figure out what their next steps are, what to do. Then we're going to have a session on business intelligence analytics, and we're going to have Russell Sabetti from Core, Haynes Hendrickson from Turnkey, people from the 49ers and people from the 76ers talking about what business intelligence is and how it works and why it's so important now and what the job opportunities are there. That'll be followed by a session on ticket sales and retention, which is obviously the most common jobs in the sports industry are selling and retaining customers. So we'll have a whole panel on that with people from the Timberwolves, the 76ers, and the Devils. Then we're going to have a really interesting esports session with Brendan Donahue from NBA 2K, and we're going to have a couple athletes, esports athletes, and some esports agents in and talk about the past, present, and future of esports, which I think would be fascinating because it's getting a lot of play right now. And for people to understand what it is, I think it'd be pretty cool. Then our lunch is going to be a session on legalized sports betting, because I really look for this to be a really big-time employment opportunity and something that's really going to go over and attract a lot more attention in the months to come and years to come. Then a session on college athletics, operated by a couple athletic directors. Then a session on the future of venue design and financing and how you monetize it. And we'll be talking about probably the arenas that we mentioned in Seattle and Texas. And we'll probably also talk a little bit about the Rams' new stadium. Then we're going to have a partnership sales session, and we're going to do anatomy of a deal. And we're going to have the Phoenix Suns and PayPal come in and talk about their deal and why it works and why PayPal spent the money and what they're trying to do in terms of why they're sponsoring, why they put the patch on the uniform, and how they're trying to drive revenue, and with the Suns highlighting PayPal. Then there's going to be a session on marketing and promotions, which will be the last job area that we cover. And that will be a pretty comprehensive overview of the entire sports industry.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really good. I think, what it's designed to do is, I get these calls all the time from kids that major in sport management, and they don't have a clue what they're going to do, and they don't have a clue how to do it. And I thought, you know what? All they know of are the pro sports leagues and college athletics. They don't know about anybody else. They really don't know what the opportunities are inside the pro sports teams and pro sports leagues. All they know is they want to work in the front office. So we decided we would create this industry overview to let people know what the opportunities are and to try and help them figure it out. So we're designing this for kids going into college, kids that are in college, recent graduates, and people that have been out a few years and are trying to find themselves. So we're going to try and do this. And if this is successful, we'll probably do another one in 2020. And then we'll continue to do these different level of career seminars for the next couple of years while I'm involved with this group.
Sounds great.
Yeah, so let me answer a couple of questions. Dave Paracone said, what's the main difference between Elevate and its competitors? Will it be good for graduate students trying to break into the industry? I think the biggest difference is what we're trying to do here with this first session is just teach people what's out there. And like I said a couple seconds ago, I don't think people really have a grasp of everything that's out there. Just like in your business, Jason, I mean, people know about actors, they know about directors, they know about producers, but they don't know probably a lot of other things that go on, what other opportunities are.
No,
they see these things listed at the end of a movie, but they don't know what they are. So it's trying to do that and then trying to give these people some guidance. It's not a job placement service. We probably will have some people there that are looking to hire, and that'll be an informal process for people to interact with on the first night of our networking session. But it's not the focus. The focus of this one is to really learn from the elite people in the industry about what the industry is all about and where it's going. So then Vic Gregovitz wants to know, after the training, will there be an employer side where they can get matched with a good fit? Really not this time, Vic. We're not really trying to do placement at this time, but I am going to invite some people to come in that that need to do some hiring and let them meet some people and let them do it on their own. So Vic, if you want to come, just let me know. And I would be more than happy to invite you to come and interview for Louisville. Okay. And then Alexander, one of my current grad students, wants to know what the different approaches you plan to use regarding placement career planning for a recently graduated professional and a more experienced one. Well, that's a pretty narrow definition, Alexander, and I know that is pertaining to you. So it doesn't have to do with the academy. We can talk offline because
yes.
What you want to do and where you want.
Did you? It's not. We lost his audio for a second. Hopefully, it'll pop right back in. But until then, yeah. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
You sound really low. If we can just have you move.
Okay, how's this?
That's better. Yes.
Okay. So, Alexander, you and I could talk offline. You can make an appointment, come in the office since you're still a current grad student, and we could talk about the plan for you. But this particular thing that we're doing is for people that are just considering a career and trying to figure out where they are and where they're going to go. And you're a little advanced for that group. So there's no need for you to come to this, and you and I could talk offline.
That sounds perfect.
And those are our questions.
Okay.
So I'm excited about this. We're going to limit it to 500 people. And we've got, those are 2 jam-packed days. There's no really little break time in there. And people are going to be able to learn a lot of different things, and probably they're going to come in with questions. They're going to leave with questions because they're going to be questioning themselves and what they think they want to do now that we've exposed them to some other opportunities. So appreciate the opportunity to talk about Elevate Academy. And anybody that's interested in finding out more about it can email me directly at doc.sutton at elevatesv.com. Okay, Jay, let's move into our show now.
All right. Well, it's again
go ahead.
a slow week. I know we spoke about this a little bit the other day, but I talked a little about this morning. We were talking on the phone that Mike Greenberg's comments on ESPN, where he basically said that when people go to ESPN, they don't want politics. If they want politics, they'll go somewhere else, and that's why he feels like ESPN is right in avoiding. Sort of inadvertently speaking, I think almost like he's sort of been the network spokesperson for a long time in a lot of ways. I feel like he seems to be like the most company man there, and I think that was his way of sort of addressing the indirectly the Dan Le Batard situation. But as we spoke about, you can't really separate them.
No, and to think that you can is silly.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you can sit there and show highlights all day, but I mean, the second whether you're talking about Kaepernick or any of these guys kneeling or Muhammad Ali throughout just everyone throughout history, and especially now in the political climate, like it's athletes are using that, LeBron James. I mean, it's just there. And you're not in.
And I think, the whole thing with the women's national team with Rapinoe and Trump, I mean, I think that was very newsworthy because he called her out. He said, you need to perform first and talk later. And so once that happened, now you've injected politics into the actual sporting event because you've tied her ability to speak out into the results.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that was absolutely something that needed to be covered. And I continue to think it needs to be covered. Now, would you say the shooting in El Paso, that's obviously political because it came from an extremist with an agenda inspired by the current leadership. And I saw it, different baseball stadiums taking a minute out to do a moment of silence.
Yeah.
And I mean, so they're bringing it in so that when you bring it in, I think it becomes something you need to talk about.
I don't think they're going to be able to avoid it.
I don't think so either. And the players have a number of opportunities to talk. I mean, I've talked about Player Tribune a number of times. I've talked about The Athletic a number of times. And now with this co-laboratory that Jamie Messler, who founded the Players Tribune, and our friend Greg Economou, and the director of Fast and Furious, I think they're looking to create content for athletes, and I think athletes are going to espouse their own views. If you saw Ed Reed's Hall of Fame induction speech, it was political.
Of course.
So how do you cover a Hall of Fame speech that's political and not say you're not covering politics?
I think the answer is you don't.
You don't.
No.
If I guess if Greenberg had his way, maybe they wouldn't have shown it at all. They would not have shown Ed Reed's induction. They would have shown everybody else's, but since it's political, they don't cover it. But I think it's just asinine to make a blanket statement that we're not going to do this. I mean, it's the way of the world. Our whole world, all of our worlds are interrelated and interconnected. And, what happens on the playing field or off the playing field is as relevant as anything else.
Indeed it is. I think on a lighter note.
Did you watch?
What's that?
Go ahead. On a lighter note, what?
The big sports news this week seems to be the Carmelo Anthony interviews. First on that morning hip hop show where his trainer went in and basically said Carmelo wants a farewell tour, which did not make him look very good. But then Carmelo went on ESPN and talked with Stephen A. Smith. And he tried, Stephen A. Smith was actually really good, called him out on a lot of his career decisions. But Carmelo tried to say that, if they had approached him in Houston like a man, he would have been easier to take, to take the seat as he said he was told he was the missing piece. He was going to be the third option. And then he was never told, he was never allowed to transition. But I guess people are starting to say, like, what is his legacy as a career?
I think his legacy as a career is he won an NCAA championship.
Yeah.
I don't think his NBA career had the kind of impact that merits a farewell tour.
No.
He didn't win a championship. He didn't win an MVP. He wasn't an extremely popular athlete.
No. He just that trade. I mean, I know he didn't specifically, but that Knicks trade was terrible. He was going to be a free agent at the end of the year, and yet you gave away guys like Gallinari, Wilson. You gave away your entire team that you would have put around him, plus draft picks, to get a guy that would have been a free agent in 6 months. Like it, you know?
Yeah.
But
I don't think he I don't think he merits a farewell tour. Just like I wouldn't have thought Allen Iverson would merit a farewell tour. I think guys that merit a farewell tour are people that were as big as the game.
Which, I mean,
Dwayne Wade
and Dirk,
Kobe. Yeah, I think those are all fine, and I think LeBron will merit one, and we'll see where else goes. I'm sure there's a number of people on Golden State that will have a farewell tour at some point in time.
So tying Carmelo into sports business, the one team that they brought up as a team that could possibly use him is a team that's got a new stadium coming up, and a team that has no chance of winning this year, but has no star power, and that's the Charlotte Hornets. That they could bring Melo in. But again, like you said, I don't feel like Melo. I mean, Iverson was popular. I mean, he was. Obviously, a lot of people did not like him, but he had a very strong, But I don't think
he was more popular than Carmelo.
Yeah, I don't think Melo's got that going for him.
No, you could argue that Marbury was more popular than Melo.
I think so.
It's one of those things. Unfortunate. I think he was talented, but his ego outpaced his talent.
Yeah, and
when you have to ask for a farewell tour, you're not worthy of a farewell tour.
No. And I think you had two shots on contenders in the last 2 seasons, one with Houston, one with Oklahoma City, where you could have shown that you could have be the sixth man, come off the bench, lead that second unit, be a team player and just, do the best you can. But he did not seem interested at all. And now he says he is, but obviously he's like, all they had to do was talk to me about it. And it's like, everyone in the world seemed like they were talking about that's what you'd be doing on those teams. And, obviously we want.
So is he hoping?
But
he's not signed anywhere, right?
No, he is not. He wants to be signed. He's putting up workout videos.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'll say about Melo, and I know this is, in 2019, I want to come off as body shaming, but for a professional athlete, he never looked like he really dedicated himself to.
No. He got by on his natural talent and natural ability. Yeah. And when it went south, he went south.
Did. But that seemed to be one of the bigger sports stories this week, was just Carmelo as Carmelo.
Well, did you see the clip of Baker Mayfield at the Indians game?
I did.
Did you see him bite into the beer can and chug the beer?
I saw him do that. I listened to another NFL podcast, and the reporter was on the sideline. Baker Mayfield apparently was running off the field, grabbed this guy's water bottle without looking, threw it back, it landed right back in his hand. And just that he would, to some random, like that he would just do, that's the kind of guy he is. Like, he's got swag for days.
Oh, he's got more swag than probably 15 of the NFL quarterbacks combined.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, as a Steeler fan, because I'm about to go to my Steeler hype moment, the Browns make me nervous, and he's a big part of it. I mean, besides that they're talented.
He believes, and he can make other people believe.
Yeah. I mean, are you ready for an insane Steeler hype moment this weekend?
Sure.
Deontay Johnson made a lot of sense, right? Rookie 3rd-round pick, looking good in practice. But this is a Steeler going into his 6th camp, believe it or not. Big Dan McCullers. He's turning heads at camp this year. The 6'8", 360-pound man, the beast, who's surprisingly stuck with his team for as long as he had. I had no idea it was his 6th season, as somebody that watches the Steelers and reads all the Steelers articles. But he's been lining up a lot more nose in the nickel. and he's been getting a big push. They think that maybe the light is finally gone off, and he's in a little bit better shape. I mean, somebody with
And are you buying it or selling it?
I gotta buy it.
Okay. All right.
You look at somebody with that. I mean,
I
with those physical gifts. Like I realize it's I mean, the more realistic hype moment would have been T.J. Watt coming off the pup list, ready to practice again. But I just couldn't resist when I wrote the Dan McCullers story.
No.
If you added a
No.
serviceable Dan McCullers to that defensive line, that's a big deal. As a Steeler fan,
Are you gonna have a hype moment on the Australian rugby player?
and that'll be next year. He's going to be practice squad this year, barring injuries.
Okay.
So that's a future.
Did you watch any of the preseason game this week?
I did not get a chance to watch it. No.
No.
Probably should.
And I avoided it.
Yeah. I mean,
But
yeah.
the point that was made is that it was the first of 28 consecutive weeks of football.
Yes, it was.
And now we're at that point in the calendar. And I welcome that. I welcome the 28 weeks of football.
I mean, it's really. I'm very excited for this season. I'm hyped. And
And I know my event is Saturday night, Jason, at the same time the Steelers are playing. So I'm going to have to tape that Steeler game and stay up late when I get back to watch it.
Yeah, I think you are. So we can get hyped.
Yep, Steelers and Bucks. We can watch it together after the event.
I think that sounds wonderful.
I think so too. Almost Little League World Series time. I watched the Senior World Series. The kids that are 14 to 16.
Mm-hmm.
And I just couldn't get into it. I couldn't get into it. I like the little kids better. And Hawaii dominated. Hawaii only gave up, I think, 4 runs in 5 games. But I got to tell you, the kids on Hawaii, they look like 26, not 16. It was a very mature-looking team with facial hair. But I just couldn't get into it.
It's very crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, just was not into it at all. Let's see what else is going on this week. The holdouts. Zeke, Melvin Gordon, any opinions?
I don't think Melvin Gordon's that good. I think the fact they're offering $10 million a year is more than enough for Melvin Gordon. I mean, as much as
I agree. What's he want?
He wants to be the highest paid running back. He wants Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell money, and it's like you're Melvin Gordon. You're not. I don't see it with him. I have a lot of sympathy.
And how many years has he played for the Chargers?
I think 4 or 5. I think he's going into his 4th or 5th year option, maybe. Because the problem with running backs is you really only have, unless you're Adrian Peterson or one of very few guys, you got about a 4 to 5 year window, and that's maybe being generous.
Yeah, I'd say.
So if you're
maybe being generous, 1 injury.
Yeah, if you're a first round pick, by the time your 5th year option comes up, I mean, who's going to give you a long term deal? Like the numbers, I mean, they just don't bear it out.
The numbers would support it. Depending on who you played with, you might have a lot of miles on your tires.
Right. And I mean, I think, like just with Le'Veon Bell and I think with Zeke this year and Melvin Gordon this year, they know that, like, okay, I'm a talented running back. My team is probably going to up my carries, run me into the ground, and then let me go. Which, if you're the team, it makes a lot of sense because you can find another guy in the draft probably every single year.
Yeah.
And it's you feel bad, though, on some level.
Okay, Zeke's got 2 years left on his contract, right?
He doesn't want to get into the next year. And I think Melvin Gordon has 1.
So Zeke wants an extension tacked on to his 2 years. And he probably wants his 2 years torn up, but he probably wants a new agreement, is really what he wants.
But then you also factor in Zeke has obviously had, including this year, not the best off-field record.
No.
And again, I don't know what he's been. I know he's been accused of a lot of things, and I don't know I haven't paid enough attention to what he has been found guilty on and whatnot. But it hasn't been the cleanest of records.
It hasn't been, and he's also held out before,
and he's
in Cabo before.
And Melvin Gordon has definitely been with injury, been banged up a little bit. Like it's a tough situation for these guys.
Yeah, I'm kind of sick about the whole thing, to be honest with you. There's nobody holding a gun to your head when you sign a contract. And if you sign a contract, Jason, if you go out and sign a contract and you buy a car and you say, nah, I don't want to pay for this, I'm not going to do it anymore, you can come get the car. And it doesn't happen. I mean, we can't walk away from contracts in life. And I think, a man is as good as his word.
Yeah, but to be fair,
a man or a woman.
The NFL doesn't have guaranteed contracts, unlike the NBA and Major League Baseball. So, I mean, the man
understood, but people that held out this year and they got more guaranteed money.
True. I mean,
but they still have
the people that are holding the contracts, the owners right now, do not have a great history of being loyal to their employees by any stretch.
No, they don't. But neither does people like Antonio Brown or people like that either. I mean, it's bad on both sides.
It is.
It's the one thing about the NFL that I really don't like. About the NBA, I really don't like people choosing who and where they're going to play with and hurting other markets. So, I mean, each sport has something. In baseball, there's no salary cap, which makes it ridiculously hard to have a really competitive league. And if you had a salary cap, you could also have a floor. And you can say the floor is $100 million, and the Pirates have to spend $30 million more than they're spending now, which I, as a fan, would welcome.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, there's a couple things. I would like to fix those things, but I don't know if we ever will. I don't know if we can.
I don't think so. Well, I have food and entertainment moments this week.
Great.
Well, for food, I went to this new place called new place for me called The Backyard, which is a place that only does like 5 things. One of them is a brisket sandwich, and they claim piled high, and it is piled high. And like any good brisket place, they ask you, do you want it lean, mixed, or the marbly fat part? And
yeah, I like that. I like the option. I
go mixed every time, but like I think you get I think that's a sign of a quality brisket that they break it down in that way and give you that option. That shows you know what they're doing.
Sure.
But like I said, the meat was falling off the sandwich. It was piled high. It was pretty good. Not the best barbecue I've had, but very, very solid.
How was the sauce?
Sauce was good. It was like a traditional Kansas City, Texas sort of, tomato-based, little kick, little sweet sauce.
So they had a brisket sandwich. What were the other 4
They had
entrees?
A brisket sandwich. They had a grilled chicken sandwich. They had a hot dog that they spiral cut and charcoal it.
Ooh.
They had a burger.
Ooh.
And then they had I think that's some sort of Beyond Meat vegan vegetarian option. And then today they had ribs, but I did not try the ribs. And they have smoked chicken wings. I forgot to say that part. But that was on their appetizers.
I might have to try
the hot dog sounded pretty tasty.
Yeah. What'd you have for entertainment?
Well, I finally watched the end of Big Little Lies season 2. And while I thought there were good performances, this is my negative, I guess, entertainment moment. There didn't seem to be any reason to have that show at all.
No, the popularity of the first year triggered the demand for the second year. But I agree with you. There wasn't a lot of depth in story. Other than introducing the Meryl Streep character, who I thought was,
I thought she did a really nice job. And I mean, like I said, there were still some, Reese Witherspoon's amazing in that, and there were some really good performances, but literally nothing happened for 7 episodes. And there was really no point in, like none of it made any sense. And we didn't learn anything new, like nothing really, And I would have much rather seen them go, and I don't really like the American Horror Stories. I think they're kind of lame. But they just keep the same cast, but then do a new season. And if
they do different stories,
find another cool book to do and find roles for all those women and let them, roll with a different story.
Yeah. Good idea.
And then did you watch The Sinner?
Uh,
The Sinner with Jessica
the
Biel.
what? I have not seen
Well,
it.
the
How
first
was it?
season was I watched. We just watched the second. We finished the second season today, and I have to say it was a pretty good. Like Bill Pax, the guy from Spaceballs, which still puts me off from time to time in a serious role. But it was about a kid and a cult and some murder, and it kept you guessing the entire time, and you were very intrigued by the story going all the way through. Um, it's pretty dark, just to throw that out there for people. Like it's not the happiest of shows by any stretch, but it's a nice 8-part mystery that'll really keep you on your toes. And the first season had that as well, but again, you're not going to get a very clean, happy ending. So if that's something you were looking forward to,
Okay.
maybe not for you. But overall, really entertaining.
It would be. What is this? What is this available
It's
on?
on
Is this
Netflix.
Netflix or what is it?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Oh,
Okay.
and Netflix too for
I'll have to
finally
try
doing
it.
something I've been asking for the entire time they have Netflix. They now have a new this week bar. Because Netflix has always had new releases, but
Oh,
their new releases they would keep things in their new release that had been on there for like 6 months, sometimes a year, and now it's like this is literally what we added this week on a bar, and I really appreciate that function.
well, I'm looking forward to Amazon Prime, the second season of
No, that's Netflix.
Mindhunters, right?
It's,
Is it
yeah,
Netflix? I think whatever's on. I really enjoyed that last year, and I think it's like
2 weeks
2 weeks
away,
away.
and we're getting some Manson in the year of Manson
Excited for that.
that we're in.
Yes, we are.
Oh, and I have to give a special shout out to I found a new band, which is very rare. It's an Australian punk band called The Chats, Chats, named for a city uh, in Australia. But if you like sort of, it's got kind of that old school '70s punk that when they first, the quick 2-3 minute songs, mixed a little bit with Dick Dale because you definitely get some surf sound in there,
Oh,
and
I
then a
like
little bit
that.
of Fugazi, and I even think Parquet Courts, who I really like. But they sound very Australian, and all their songs are about like their big breakthrough is called Smoko, which is this Australian term for smoke break. They have another song called Pub Feed, which is about eating at a pub. So their songs are very on the nose, very like, but really fun.
Good. Oh, I have a book. I have a book recommendation. I haven't started reading it yet, but the reviews were amazing, including Stephen King's review. And the book is called "The Lady in the Lake" by Laura
Okay.
Lippman. So I bought that today, and it's actually Mom's book
Oh,
club book this month.
it's very cool.
Yeah. So I guess that's it. I'm looking forward to seeing you this weekend, and we can watch that Steeler game
And then we
together.
could probably start thinking about doing some NFL previews moving forward too,
I think that's a great idea. I think we should start our NFL
as we
previews
are
next week.
to that point.
All right. Why don't you pick what conference you want to start so I get prepared this week? What do we want to start with next week?
Let's start with the AFC South.
Okay.
AFC
The
South. We'll
AFC
start
South.
down in Florida.
Any reaction to Tom Brady's contract extension today?
I believe 100% Tom Brady to like, proven otherwise at this point. It's, I hope he's not
I agree.
2021 killing everybody, but until he stops doing it, I don't know what to do.
I know. And as I've said on the show before, I acknowledge he's the GOAT. I just don't have to
no,
like him.
I've long since given up that argument, and at least I mean, Peyton Manning also had the neck injuries though. Outside of that one, I think knee surgery like 7 or 8 years ago, like Tom Brady's been healthy, like take big hits,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
during the regular season, and I didn't see any signs of wheels falling off last year. So
No, what?
yeah,
How it goes.
it's terrifying, but somehow it keeps working. So until next week, rate us on iTunes, of course. Uh, Follow us, join us, become a Patreon family member, help contribute to the show, keep us on the air. Tell your friends, family, all that stuff.
And reach out to me if you have any questions on Elevate Academy.